Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Amy has Titan's Nest, and she uses it to make a bunch of mana. Can she use that mana to cast Thieving Skydiver? Alright, so if we look at Titan's Nest, we'll notice that the mana that you can get from it has a couple of conditions on how it can be spent. You can only use it to cast a spell that's one or more colors and doesn't have X in its mana cost. Well, of course, those first two aren't going to be a problem in this case. However, the third one, well, that's where things get a little bit interesting. So, if we take a look at the comprehensive rules, we can see that the mana cost is basically what you get when you look at those symbols in the top right-hand corner of the card. In this case, we can see that Thieving Skydiver has a mana cost of 1 into blue, which does not have an X in it. Accordingly, this does qualify as a spell that you can cast with mana from Titan's Nest. It is true that we have an additional cost that does contain an X in it. However, that would be considered to be part of the total cost, which is a completely different thing as far as the game rules are concerned. The mana cost of Thieving Skydiver does not have an X, so therefore we're good to go. Be careful, because this trick worked out pretty well here, however that's not always going to be the case. For example, take a look at this card, Ingenious Mastery. Even if we were going to use the 2 and a blue alternate cost to cast this spell, the mana cost of this spell still has an X in it. And that means that we cannot use mana from Titan's Nest to cast this spell, no matter which way we were going to do it. There's one more thing that I wanted to touch on as long as we're on the topic of this card here. You can only use the mana to cast spells. To see what I mean, let's take a look at an example. Glimpse of Freedom. You can see that the escape mechanic lets you cast this card as a spell from your graveyard. That's good because that's exactly what we're trying to do. Even though you're casting it from an unusual zone, the game still sees that you're casting a spell, and that means that you can use mana from Titan's Nest to do that. If you're wondering, you cannot exile the same cards to escape it and to generate mana to pay for it. We're already getting a pretty good deal here, so don't get greedy. Now, here's another situation that would not work as well. Let's take a look at this one, which uses the encore mechanic. If you have the encore, you can see that the reminder text does not indicate that we're casting a spell, and the comprehensive rules back that up. You can see that with encore, you're actually activating an activated ability. You can see because of the colon, and you know we're not casting a spell because you don't see the word play or cast anywhere. That's an important difference here because you can only use mana from Titan's Nest if you're casting a spell, which activating an ability is not. Accordingly, you can use mana from Titan's Nest to cast something using escape, however, you cannot use it if you're trying to do an encore. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again tomorrow for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.